I forgot.
Recording.
Okay. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to tell you today about how I have my own personal FBI agent. Stay tuned. So not everybody's lucky enough to have their own personal FBI agent, but I of course was. So here's my story. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, I had the job of being a bank teller. I was only part-time because I went to school during the day, and while I was a bank teller, around the holiday season, everybody was invited to go to this big Christmas party gala. I don't remember if I was invited or not, but I know I wasn't going. And what they were going to do was leave me in charge of closing up the bank for the night while they all went to the Christmas party. I didn't think it was a good idea. I kind of questioned them on it. I was like, I've never locked the bank up before. I'm usually here with somebody else. I'm just part-time. I don't really know all of the rituals of the bank. Don't worry, we'll train you. It's not a big deal. You'll take care of it fine. Everything will be good. I'm like, all right, if you guys say so. So here we come, the night of the party, and I got my directions, which I didn't think were very clear, but they obviously thought that they were. So everybody was all dressed up and all ready to go to their lovely event. And now it's time to close down the bank. So what'd I do? Well, I worked the drive up. So I was behind, you know, when you go up to the drive up, there's that little counter and all the other stations are behind you, and then there's the main lobby of the bank. So normally what you do when you lock up is you take everything that's in your top drawer and you put it with the stuff in your bottom drawer and you lock it up and you put it in the vault for the night. But that's after you do a count and you fill out a sheet of paper. Remember, this is the 80s and 90s. We filled out pieces of paper. There was no computer. It was all hand done. And you wrote out this sheet and you gave it to the manager. So I guess the next morning when they came in, again, part-time, don't know the rituals of the bank. And then what I was told to do was to take my box with my money in it, bring it downstairs into the basement and put it into the vault. I've never been in the vault. I've never gone down into the basement at the bank. I'm completely by myself and I'm 19, 20 years old, something like that. So I was a little nervous. Well, I start walking down the stairs and this is like a basement from a horror movie. Like it's cold, it's dark. There's just one single light bulb with a chain. So you know when you go downstairs into the basement and you click on the light bulb with the chain and the light doesn't come on or blows out and then somebody gets murdered in the basement. So these are the things that are going through my mind. So I run and I take my money, I throw it in the vault, I slam the door, I spin the thing, I pull the chain on the light bulb, I run up the stairs like a lunatic, and now they tell me that I had to set the alarm too. So I go out of the bank, I go into the lobby, I'm pushing buttons, I hit arm, I run out of the bank, I jump in my car, and I drive home. And that's it. I don't think about the bank again that night. Get up the next morning, go to school, go in for my shift at 3 o'clock, and I walk into the bank and the assistant manager asks me to come over to his desk so he can see me for a minute. Sure. Hi, how are you? How was the party? Was everything good? Oh yeah, everything was great. Hey Linnette, how much money did you have in your drawer last night? Well, I had $6,422.11 or whatever, because I would be silly like that and remember everything. I'm like, I had this many hundreds, this many 50s, this many 20s, you know, I'm all proud that I can recite what I had in my drawer. He's like, well, you now have $100 in singles. I'm like, wow, why? And he's like, well, that's what we want to know. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I have no idea. And they're like, did you have any problems last night locking up? I'm like, I don't think so. And he's like, all right, well, can you come back into the conference room? Sure, why not? So I'm like, wow, this is really weird. Like, where could my money have gone? Like, you know, I'm like, I'm going through the night. I'm like, I went down the stairs, I threw it in the vault, I locked the vault. So I go into this back room. It's the big, conference room, and it's set up. It's pretty plush, It's got the big cushy chairs, and it's all leather, and big table, all glossy. I mean, it's this beautiful place, and there's these two guys sitting in the room, and they introduced themselves just as some name. They didn't say anything but their names, and I have no recollection of what their names were. And they asked me to sit down, but they put me in a specific chair. Like, I went to go sit at the end. They're like, no, sit right here. And so I had to sit in the middle of the table, and then they pushed me in, right? So now I'm pushed into the table, and it's in this big chair, those big corporate chairs that executives sit in, boardroom chairs. And I'm like, okay, this is really weird. So they're walking back and forth, and they're just asking me random questions. How old are you? Where do you live? Just basic questions. Then they started asking different questions are your parents together? No, they're just going through getting a divorce, so no, they're not together. You have a boyfriend? Yes. Yeah, what's your boyfriend's name? How old's your boyfriend? Okay, so we're talking about that, and I'm wondering where that's going. Has your boyfriend ever been in trouble? Has he ever gotten into any trouble with the police, or has he ever stolen anything? I'm like, not that I know of. I'm like, I don't think so. So, then they're saying, do you have any loans or any credit card debt, or do you have any debt? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, what do you have a debt with? And I said, my car. And they're like, and how much is your car loan? And I'm like, $6,000. And it clicks in my head that that's the amount of money that was in my drawer last night. And I'm like, okay, where's this going? So then they were asking me other questions, have you ever had any trouble with this? Have you ever had any trouble with that? And then they stopped talking for a while, and they were just pacing back and forth behind me. And then the one guy grabbed my chair, and he leans in to my ear, and he yells, why'd you take the money? And I'm like, me? I'm like, why'd I take the money? I'm like, I didn't take the money. And they're like, you took the money. And I'm just sitting there going, I did not take the money. And honest to God, this is what I said to him. I said, listen, there's been many times that I've thought about stealing from the bank. I think everybody does. I said, but it would have to be so much money that I could leave the country, go live somewhere on a private island, and never be found. It wouldn't be for $6,000. So he was like, all right. And he goes, well, let me just tell you what happened last night after you left the bank. And I'm like, all right, enlighten me. So it was pretty interesting after I fled the bank because I was scared to death. And so what happened was, I did not take the bottom drawer money and put it into my box. I left it in the bottom drawer at my station. So that's where the bulk of my money was left. I did, however, take the $100 in singles that was in the top drawer, and that's what I threw. I didn't place it anywhere. They found it thrown into the vault. And I did lock the vault safely. The vault did get locked. I did turn the light off. But then what happened was, when I went upstairs and set the alarm and locked the door, I actually set the alarm off. So I didn't secure the bank. I made the alarm go off. So then what happened was, the Wells Fargo alarm company came to the bank, and they had to search and see what happened at the bank. So they are not permitted, per their agreement, to go behind the teller stations. They're supposed to stay in the main lobby and just check things out. Well, this Wells Fargo gentleman went behind the stations where he wasn't supposed to be, and at my station, the one where the $6,000 was, he wrote a note and stuck it on my station saying, the alarmist said everything's okay, call us in the morning if you need anything. So that was...
Wait, how'd they know you were the one who set the alarm on your station?
No, not on the station. I set the alarm off for the entire bank. I set the silent alarm.
But the Wells Fargo guy wrote the note and put it at your station.
Right, because he
How did he know you're the one?
Well, this is where he was dumb. where he should have stayed in the main lobby, but instead he went snooping around, and he must have been looking in the drawers. And
No, I get that.
Right, so then he just wrote the note there instead of putting it on the manager's desk. Like, he wasn't very smart.
Oh, he left it where he found the money.
Yeah, so he just,
Okay.
bingo, so he left the money there. So then after he left and left his note, the cleaning people came. So now the cleaning people came, and they did their whole cleaning of the entire office. And then they left. And then the bus full of employees that went to the holiday party came back to the bank, and instead of them all getting off the bus and getting in their cars and going home, they went back into the bank, which they were not supposed to do. So now they all went back in the bank, and I don't know what they were doing, if they were having more of a party afterwards. Somebody said they had to use the bathrooms. People were wandering around the bank that also work there. So this magical night, there happened to be more people in the bank that weren't supposed to be in the bank than any other night of the entire year. And of course, the manager of the bank was on vacation. So the assistant manager was in charge of everything, and that's where he really didn't make very good decisions. Number one, letting me close the bank up, who had never closed the bank up before, was a part-timer, knew nothing about the procedures, then brought everybody back into the bank after the bank closed. So anyway.
And that's why he's just the assistant manager.
So I was then told, while I was in the conference room with the two gentlemen who I found out were FBI agents, because anything over $4,000 in missing money from a bank becomes a federal offense, that because they didn't know who took the money, I was the number one suspect, and that I was going to be suspended with pay, and that I wasn't to leave the country or town or anything.
So you discovered that the two men in the conference room were really FBI agents.
I didn't discover. They told me.
Well, when did you figure it out? When they told you?
Yeah, I didn't know they were FBI agents.
Who'd you think they were when they first started talking to you?
I thought they worked for the bank.
All right.
So I find out that these two guys are FBI agents, and they tell me I can't leave town, I can't leave the country, I pretty much can't do anything until they figure out where the money went. And because I was the last one to touch the money, I was the number one suspect, even though there were 50 other people in the bank that shouldn't have been in the bank. So they did ask me at that time, they said, who do you think took the money? And I said, I think that the Wells Fargo guy took the money. And they said, well, why do you think that? And I said, because he wasn't supposed to be behind the counter. Everybody else had the ability and they had authorization to be back there, and they've been back there a million times, and the Wells Fargo people don't go there very often, and they definitely aren't supposed to be there. And then he left a note at my station. Like, that was just weird. So that was my thought process from the start. So they did tell me that I was suspended with pay and that I was to leave. So as I was walking out, it was really humiliating, because as I was walking out, everybody was like at work because it was work hours, you know? And I was like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow, or see you later, bye. And nobody would talk to me. They all just like put their head down and were doing what they had to do. And I was like, oh my gosh, they all think I'm guilty. I'm like, so.
You're doing the perp walk.
Yeah, like it was really embarrassing. And I was really upset because there was no way that I did this. And that people thought I did made me really sad, that they didn't know me well enough to know that I wouldn't do something like that. So that was kind of eye-opening, obviously. And then, so life started going on. This was taking, like, months were going past. Like, months and months and months were going on that there was nothing happening. Every week I would get a phone call from my personal FBI agent. He would check in with me to see how I was doing, if I knew anything else, if there was anything I had to tell him. So it was like this weekly telephone call that I had with the FBI agent. And then I also got another job because even though I was suspended with pay, I was still going to school at the time, not high school. I was in a business school, and then that ended, so I needed to get a full-time job. So I got a full-time job. I still had, he would call me at my job. The FBI agent would call me at my job to check in with me. And one day he said, Linnette, they would like you to take a lie detector test. And do you have any issue with taking a lie detector test about the incident that happened? I'm like, absolutely not. I would be more than happy to take a lie detector test. You just tell me when and I'll do it. So he said, okay, we'll be in touch and we'll let you know when that's gonna happen. And I said, okay. So the next part of this story, of this 2-part series, will be all about the lie detector test.
So after this was all over, did you and your FBI friend stay in contact?
You'll have to wait and see after I tell you what happened after the lie detector test.
All right.
Stay tuned. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because we always need more subscribers. So thanks for watching and have a good one. Bye.